Welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I'm your guide and host through the show. Today, once again, is our monthly series, Learn with a Lender with Joel Schaub from Guaranteed Rate. Now, Joel is a vice president of lending at Guaranteed Rate. He's been doing loans at a high level since 2003, and he got to that level because of what he does specifically for agents, which is that he gives back part of his commission to the buyer on every transaction. So last year alone, Joel gave back over $300,000 in closing costs to buyers who worked with him, and that puts Joel's volume in the top 1/10 of 1% of loan officers nationwide. In fact, there's 400,000 loan officers in the country, and Joel is currently ranked number 137. Even in this down market, Joel has closed transactions this year for 102 million. So if you are looking for a loan officer, we cannot more highly recommend Joel. He's the very best we've ever worked with. Joel can be reached at joel@rate.com. Again, Joel at Joel at rate.com. You can also shoot him a text message or call him at 773-654-2049. Let's say hello to the biggest Cubs fan I know, Joel Schaub. Welcome back.
Jay, thanks so much for having me on. We have so many things going on in the market right now. These are usually my favorite time of month, getting on here, giving back, and talking about things that really can help agents grow their business.
Yeah, thanks. We love having you. And even when you are either in your office or working mobily, you always make time for our show, and we absolutely appreciate that. So yeah, let's talk about some changes that have been happening in the lending world. I've been hearing a lot about loan limits that have changed. Can you shed us some light to our audience of what is that and what do agents need to understand about it?
Yes, unless you've been living under a rock, you've been seeing multiple posts from everybody talking about the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac loan limits have gone up. Instead of just talking about it, how does that help me as an agent? What was I not able to get a loan above the new limits before, right? So the numbers, if you haven't heard, are up to $766,550. It's a mouthful, right? So the bottom line for this is that you've always been able, DJ, to get loans above it before, but they were considered jumbo mortgages, right? So if you're in the jumbo category, they were with higher interest rates, they were with more down payment, and typically a lot harder to get underwritten and approved. So now Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have said that the loan amounts that go up to 766, 550 now fall under their category, which means a lot more advantages for first-time home buyers, for example.
So now we're what used to be classified as possibly jumbo is could potentially be non-jumbo at this moment.
And so think of it last year. If you were buying an $800,000 home, you couldn't put down 5%. If you were buying an $800,000 home, you were well over that number. The 5% down would have put you into a jumbo category. Well, now you go out and buy an $800,000 home with $40,000 down, and now the loan amount there of 760 falls under the jumbo limit. So there's some big advantages for first-time buyers here, and that's why I always like to get into the weeds with this. It's not so much seeing the data and hearing the numbers, but if I'm an agent, how do I go out and market to my database right now to get one more buyer or one more seller? So think of this, right? A lot of times you're right on the cusp of pricing a property, right? We never want to price ourselves into a jumbo loan if you can, right? Meaning now knowing that first time home buyers can buy with 5% down in most of the Fannie Mae conforming limits, uh, think of that as a strategy in terms of how you would price the home. Maybe you wouldn't price it at 825. Maybe you'd price it down at 805, knowing that a first-time home buyer would qualify, and that's where they would be setting their limits themselves.
That's an interesting strategy. So actually, listing agents may want to consider if they have a home that is within these sort like if they have a home that's 800,000 or above, this would be a great thing to consider when pricing.
Yeah, take it to the next step. What would have put somebody out of jumbo before? Okay, so the jumbo limit last year was 726,000. That means if you had a listing that was over 907, everybody was 20% down, right? You had to. Otherwise, you were in a jumbo without 20% down. And I won't get into how that would really affect the rates being higher in mortgage insurance. But now that $907,000 listing is easily under the 766 number. So taking a little bit of time, doing the math to see where you should price your homes, and then knowing this gives you a lot of talking points when you're out getting a new listing or helping a buyer.
Yeah, I'm thinking what an agent might want to consider talking to their buyers about is maybe now is a good time to buy because number one, a lot less competition, a lot less buyers flooding the market, so prices are relatively stable at this point. We know when there's lots of buyers that flood the market, of course, supply and demand, the pricing goes up. So what you can always do is possibly refinance your rate, but you can't refinance what you spent, what
Yeah,
you bought the property for. So this is
exactly.
maybe a good time. So but at the on the other side of it is the public goes, but rates are at 7 plus or maybe even higher. And yes, money is a little more expensive to borrow at this time, but with a lot less competition, you're not going to be likely to overpay. And so to me, I think this, and with these loan limit increases as well, this is what I would be educating buyers on if I was an agent working today. I'd be talking about, I know it seems like it's not the right time because everyone else wants a 3 to 4%, loan, but those days have passed, and the good news is less competition, and probably lower pricing.
I think you're exactly right, DJ. With the rates this year, it's been sixes, sevens, and even eights as of this month, and buyers are still calling. uh, 80 to 100 a month. I'm actually overwhelmed by the number of people, especially where I live in Chicago, that the rents, DJ, are just so much where they're still looking to buy, even though the rates are high.
Yeah, and again, just remember too, guys, competition, right? We want to talk to our buyers about competition, and when we have lots of buyers flooding the market, we know that influences prices. And your job as an agent is you're a fiduciary, so you are to do what is best for the client's financial interests. So having these conversations with buyers about, yes, it's a slightly more expensive time to borrow than it was in previous years, but I would much rather borrow at a higher rate for temporarily for to get a lower price on the home I want to buy. So we've seen, prices are stable right now. So now's the time to get the buyers off the fence and encourage them to consider not waiting for those rates to come down.
I had an agent the other day ask me, so they know what I do in terms of even in this down market doing $10 million a month, and they say I want to get to $10 million a year. How are how is it possible that you're doing it? So I shared one of the 2-1 rate buy down techniques that I talked to a lot of buyers about. And when there's no competition out there, when you're actually submitting an offer because rates are high and you can ask the seller to fund a 2-1 buy down, I like to tell them that if you don't ask, you're not going to get. All right. So if you're not familiar with the way to do it, if you're an agent, connect with your lender. Ask them, do you facilitate 2-1 buy downs? Almost every lending partner out there will do this for you. And on a $400,000 loan, just asking the seller to give a $10,000 to $12,000 credit, DJ, will lower that client's payment by almost $500 a month versus if they were just getting 10 to 12 grand off the price, barely changes their payment by $88. Okay, so it's
Wow.
striking. Yeah.
So this is a great option for sellers to even consider as maybe putting that in as part of their offering without waiting to have it asked for. Say, I am willing to work with you on your loan, and if a buy down would make sense to get this deal closed, we will do it. And so it really becomes, I think, a marketing tool for both sides, obviously on the buy side, but it's also something that listing agents should be aware of so they can consider if that would make some of these offers more attractive.
Instead of doing a price reduction, right? A $10,000 price reduction is probably not going to move the needle. And we certainly don't want to do a $25,000 price reduction on a four or $500,000 home. Therefore, if we could just give up 10 to 12 grand in price and give it to the buyer, that's going to make that buyer and that price point make that home look so much better than the neighbor's house, right? It's about payment for a lot of
Yeah.
the first time home buyers. Almost everyone asks me, not how much am I approved for, but what are my payments if I buy this home? And so that's the big deal. If I'm a listing agent and I know that it's overpriced and I don't want to ask the seller and come back with that damn conversation of, oh, I think it's time for another price reduction. How about we do a marketing blitz and show right now that with rates down, they're in the low sevens. I even today was able to lock in a 30-year fixed with the buy down, where for the first year the rate was 4.99%.
Oh,
In year
amazing.
number two, it was 5.99. And then fixed for the 30 years, we were back to 6.99%. And that was all because the seller gave a 3% credit to our buyer. So we use that to drive the rate down and then use a 2-1 buy down strategy to further give the client savings.
And these are the kind of strategies that really do separate the top agents from the rest. That agents who are willing to understand there are these creative solutions that 99% of agents aren't that familiar with, that this is how you get to become a specialist. And this is why we have these episodes with Joel, because he of course is, and he teaches all of you the same stuff. So just as a quick plug for Joel, he's been coming on our show for 5+ years, providing incredible value to everyone. So please, if you don't have a loan officer that is bringing you these kind of ideas, reach out to Joel. He would love to chat with you about that as well. Joel, I would also love to talk about your sort of thoughts about the upcoming market. So we know it gets a little slow in the winter months, and of course, spring is not far away. So, do you have any thoughts about what we might be seeing? I know it's no one's got a crystal ball, but what are your best thoughts for this upcoming spring?
Well, I have a hot take. Okay, this might not be what everybody's expecting, but this is going to be an earlier spring market than ever. Okay, rates really did just come down in the last 2 weeks. Okay, and by all indications, we're probably about a 48% chance that the Fed cuts rates in Q number one, meaning buyers are going to be out there hot and heavy. They don't want to miss out, and it's strange, but it's true. There's going to be multiple offers if the properties are priced right. And I'm not talking March, April, May. I'm talking January, the start of the new year. We're going to start seeing rates. They might be down into the mid sixes. And if we see that, we're going to have buyers coming out of the woodwork that say, finally, rates are no longer in the eights. They're not in the sevens. I can easily get into the sixes and then still use a buy down strategy to get a rate maybe at 4.5 or 5.5 for the next 2 years. There's going to be a lot of activity early, and we're going to look back on this episode and say, "Damn, Joel, you were right."
I still just think there's so much opportunity right now to convince buyers, or not convince, of course, they should do what's best for them, but to encourage them to really consider the implications of if the Fed did drop, if tomorrow, if the Fed decides, you know what? It's an early Christmas present for everybody. We're going to drop 200 basis points. We're going to drop 2% of the rate on a rate. Can you imagine what would flood the market as far as buyers? Everybody who is on the sidelines right now would jump back in because of course it's such a huge event, and this would be really, it would be a good and a bad thing for buyers. It's good because it gets them off the sidelines, bad because now they're all competing with each other.
You're exactly right. This is we're going to see early, but I think towards the Q4. So it's going to be this uh, kind of like a camel-shaped recovery next year. I think we're going to see it really shoot up in Q1 when Feds are talking about rates. Summer's going to be a little bit slower, but the Feds are going to cut again. And so when we get into the fall market, there's going to be rates considerably lower, multiple offers, getting back to the tougher situations as agents that you better be ready for. And so DJ's exactly right. Knowing that this is coming, like they've outlined it, the Feds are cutting rates. Why wouldn't we try to go out and buy now when there is less competition? Because once we own the home, the client can refinance that loan and get the better interest rate down the line.
We should also mention too that these types of strategies, this goes back to sort of the stock market ideas. Buying when a stock is undervalued or underperforming doesn't feel as encouraging at the time of purchase. If you are, just getting into the stock market, you're like, oh my gosh, this company's down. I want to buy them when they're not doing well. Well, yeah, because then when they rebound, of course, you'll receive all the upside benefit. So you have to, I think, as an agent, really think about how do I start conditioning my clients that even though that rate feels a little yucky at the moment, don't worry. It's yes, it feels yucky, but here's why it's still a really good idea. I think if agents can start having these conversations with some of these bullet points that you share every single month on our show, they would get more transactions right now. I am absolutely confident of that because everybody talks about the rate and rates are high. Yes, yes, we all know that. And here's why it's still a great time. And having those conversations is really doing the right thing for your client, and it's doing the best thing for them from a fiduciary perspective, making sure that they know what everyone else doesn't, that it's actually a great time to consider borrowing right now, even though that rate is higher than anyone would like. Of course, rates are always going to be higher than anyone would like, right? Of course, that's always the case. But we know that the Fed, as Joel said, is outlining an opportunity in the next year or longer to decrease rates to a more palatable time. You don't want to wait for that time because by the time that happens, everyone's going to be in the market.
If we can afford the monthly payment with the higher rate, think what happens. Okay. So now we're buying a piece of real estate today when it's uncomfortable, right? Let's be clear. Like rates in the low sevens, even if you get them down into the six, that's still a lot of uncomfortability for a lot of folks when rates were in the twos and threes during COVID. Okay. But stick with me here and think of like in my market of Chicago, it's not crazy $1 million homes. My average client, most of them hundreds a year, are $400,000 or $500,000 homes. And if you bought a $400,000 home right now when nobody else was buying because rates were in the sevens and rates get down to 5.5, you better believe that $400,000 home is worth more. Buyers are going to start paying more for homes when rates go down. So why wouldn't we go buy something now when rates are high? Only if we can afford it. We don't want to get in over our head. We don't want to buy a piece of real estate if it's going to cost us too much money. But if we can comfortably afford it and we know that rates are coming down, you know your home's going to be worth more, and then you'll reap the benefit when you refinance the loan.
I love that. It's so true. And we're going to keep banging the drum on this because once rates do start to really come down, this is all going to be a lot more obvious, and so we want to try to get you in on the ground floor, so to speak, so that you can do not only do what's right for your client, but also begin to really show your value as an agent, right? Value as an agent. Why are they paying you as much as they are to help them buy or sell a home? It's because of ideas like this. So thank you, Joel, for that. I also Joel is what a lot of people who listen who might not know this about Joel and his team is they are exceptional at client appreciation events. Really, Joel and his team, it's the best I've ever seen in this industry with the amount of giving back that Joel does, he and his team. And I'm just curious, Joel, because you are always so on top of this. It's the holiday season. Agents are probably thinking about what they may want to do for their clients, and whether or not it's something for this holiday season or the future. What might you suggest? Because you always have amazing ideas for your own clients.
Well, I'm already looking ahead. Unfortunately, the December months have been booked and planned since July, right? So right now, as of this taping, what we're talking about, we just did it with my team this morning, Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day, right? And sending gifts on these off days. So it's not just the events that we do. If you're an agent, trying to come up with ways to touch your database on off days like Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day. I do President's Day. I do National Pizza Day. I do all of these little cute things because if it's Christmas or New Year, you're lumped into the mix. There's so many gifts. I stopped doing birthday gifts as well. Everyone gets a birthday gift, and I know that's boo, you don't send out birthday gifts. I don't. I want to stand out. You as an agent want to stand out. No matter how good your gift is to a client, something better, right? You're going to send, but when they're not expecting a gift, when they're not expecting something, boy, they say, that came from my realtor. That realtor sent me this gift. So I encourage you to think of these off days where you can send out small tokens of value where you look different. And I know, DJ, you were talking about events. And I just went on the tangent because I was just doing this with my
No, and
staff this morning.
I really meant all sort of marketing appreciation that you do, which whether it's events or product or gifts. I really it was my misspoke. But yeah, so events are obviously always great as well. I was thinking more about the actual gifts. So you were saying what I didn't say. So thank you for that. And yeah, so maybe not focusing so much on the December holidays as much as it's kind of like this. We do the same thing for our holiday parties. I don't know if Guaranteed Rate does the same thing. As we stop planning them for December because we're like, everyone's so busy. It's
Yeah.
so hard. Like we just do it in January now. And we do that because number one, it's kind of fun to have a party in January when no one's
Yes.
expecting to have a party. So Joel is basically saying the same idea, whether you're doing a client appreciation event or just a gift, find a fun, cute thing that is on an off day where people wouldn't be expecting those kind of things.
I had I did a kind of a pipeline review with an agent today. And so this was an agent that is in the city of Chicago, has a big database, and they do a lot of volume. And I looked to see who their preferred lender was. And I noticed that they were only capturing about 5% of their business. And so during the presentation, I was sharing with them that they did last year to the tune of about 310 deals, but
Wow.
their person that they were so loyal to only captured about 5% of the business. And I shared with them that they're leaving money on the table because out of the last 15 transactions, there were 14 different mortgage lenders on that list. And I said, whether you decide to partner with my team, and I showed them everything that we do, and I said, this is worth money. Literally, there's RESPA compliant ways that lenders would pay to be your preferred lender. And on that example, it was about $48,000 a year is what I shared that I'd be willing to step up in a heartbeat and write them a check for 48 grand a year to apply to RESPA compliant things like Zillow and their events. And it kind of blew them away. They go, I knew we were valuable, and I knew that my preferred lender that they liked. It was a high school buddy. And he's like, I know I've outgrown them and I really did need to, they connected with me. They wanted to hear what I was doing with other agents. And the reason I bring this up is if you are listening to this and you do a lot of business, connect with a lender. Literally, it doesn't, you want somebody that's local that you really like that wants to spend money with you. Okay. And this is where all realtors, they're afraid to go ask, but don't. Lenders will step up, DJ. How often do you hear me talk about this?
Every single time. And I love that you bang the drum about this, is hold lenders accountable for
Yeah.
helping you grow your business. They want more of your transactions. Of course they do. And as a result, that is worth something. And of course, staying within RESPA and whatever association rules apply, making sure you're doing it the right way. But making sure you're not undervaluing your business as an agent. If you're doing however many deals a year, and on the buy side, think about how many different lenders did I work with, and on those lenders, what did they do to help me further my business, and what are they doing currently to help me further my business, and did they send me any referrals, and what, and that now it's time to start interviewing loan officers.
So if you're listening here and you're doing over $20 million of annual production per year, reach out to me for sure. I'll show you what you should be doing and how you can go back to your lending partners there and say, there's somebody else out of state that's willing to do this for me. Can we even come up with something close to it? And if you're doing less than $20 million, reach out to me and get on my newsletter. This is where I share with you the simple tips, tricks, and things that'll make you sound smarter, make you have real talking points in digestible little bites. So it's just an email to me. It's joel@rate.com, joel@rate.com. And in the subject line, you can write newsletter. And then that's it. There's nothing, you don't need to write me 3 paragraphs unless you want to tell me how much you love us. But it's easy. Sign up for the newsletter. You can unsubscribe anytime, and it'll be action packed with things that you can actually use to grow your business to the next level.
Yeah, I really echo that. Get on Joel's mailing list every Wednesday or so. He sends out this great, super easy to read and understand and actionable bullet points about here's what's going on in the market. Here's, as an agent, what you should be talking to your clients about. You don't have to wait for Joel to come on these episodes, although we hope that you continue to listen to our show as well. But don't wait even for this. You want to know weekly what's going on. So get on his mailing list, send him an email, joel@rate.com. There's thousands of people on this email list now. It's grown and it's hugely popular, and it's a nice service that Joel provides for our listeners. So thank you, Joel. And also, again, if your loan officer is just not really helping you do more production or come up with creative solutions for your clients in this market, now's the time to, again, find the really good loan officers. And guess what? Joel's one of them. So reach out to him. And if he can't assist you, he will give you some great ideas of where you could possibly go. But he and Guaranteed Rate, they're licensed in all 50 states. They can, of course, help you as well. So Joel, everyone email Joel, get on his mailing list, joel@rate.com. If you are, doing more than 20 million, also say, hey, I want to do a review of my business with you and see what Joel can and his team can put together for you as well. So Joel, another wonderful episode. It's our last episode of the year for Learn with a Lender. So Joel, thank you so much for another year of service to not only me personally and my team, but also every single listener. We had the most number of downloads to date in our entire history this year. We were up about 30%. So we are super grateful because it's people like you that come on and give us this valuable information that keeps people coming back. So thank you to our audience too. You guys are the greatest. This may be the final episode of the year, so would be remiss to say thank you to everyone who's been with us, either whether you're new or that you've been with us since the beginning. But we appreciate you. Please tell a friend. Tell a friend. And by the way, if you know another agent that's like not, their preferred loan officer isn't doing a good job for them, send them a link to this episode. It would do them a service as well. And just keep the love going. Let other agents know about our show. But in the interest of wrapping up this year, we will say goodbye to Joel and hello to Joel in January for a whole new year of content. So thank you to Joel and his team at Guaranteed Rate. Again, email him, joel@rate.com. Guys, he's really that good. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't believe it. He really is, and he's earned my business, so he has let him have the opportunity to earn your business as well. Joel, I need to become your pitch man. Maybe we can work out. I could start doing commercials for you. I'll be as your biggest fan. I'll be your pitch man.
Are a big fan, and everyone that's listening, guys, remember, like, the sky is not falling. Rates have already come down. So take away with this that next year, if you're in this business now, stay in the business. If you're new to the business, stick with it. There is so much that you're going to be able to do when other people leave. So keep positive. Know that rates are coming down, and know that no matter where rates are at, if you work your sphere, work the people that you know, and then do a great job, this business is for you. You're going to do great.
Now's the time really that the good agents do even better. So this is the time, because they take market share away from the agents that are falling behind. Don't let that happen to you. Keep listening to our show. Reach out to Joel. He will give you ideas about how to keep moving your business forward. And please keep coming back and listening. So Joel, on behalf of everyone, thank you. On behalf of Joel and myself, to the audience, we love you. Thank you for a great year. And we will see everyone in 2024. Thanks, Joel.